Okay, if that's what you think you're doing. Okay, we're recording.
Let's talk about the dog.
All right. Now, I've met the dog a couple of times. What I really was interested in is when you and I met the dog together at the street light, he was barking at me. And he's never barked at me before, but you were present. That was interesting to me.
He was probably saying, I can protect her from whatever. Or maybe, hey, I like this guy.
Oh, so it could have been a nice bark.
No, he likes me.
Oh. Okay. Because you guys know each other.
Very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He knows me better than the human me knows him right now, but... Okay, here we go. I'll tell the story.
All right.
Just this part of it. Just this part of it.
Can you back up just a little bit?
Yeah, I was in Mount Shasta. And I was living with a couple of individuals that were very, I don't know how to put this for humans, very evolved consciousnesses. Mm-hmm. There you go. Very evolved consciousnesses. Mm-hmm. And they took care of a dog named Kitsu that wasn't just a dog. He was a snow white wolf. And Japanese name, Kitsu. I understand this is all a reflection of consciousness, so going into it, knowing he had a Japanese name, I was like, oh, okay, the dog's going to be my friend because of my Japanese history. And we started hanging out together. He became my best friend out there. And he could almost talk. I could swear like he was about to talk. And I'd say, come on, man, come on. And then he'd almost talk. And then one day, okay, these people that I was living, they were microdosing me with, let's just say I did an ayahuasca experience thing there. And during this time, Kitsu came up to me to say, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? And I could almost hear it, but I picked up like a thought bubble. And the thought bubble was, hey man, are you okay? And it felt, I was like, oh yeah, Brian, cool. And then I kind of popped out of it, and I was like, whoa. And I laughed, and I was like, Brian. And then he looked at me almost with a smile on his face. And I was like, what the fuck? And he walked off, whatever. Then he'd show up right when I wake up. He'd come by my place. Hey, are you going to go on your little run? I'd run down to this creek and, sit and meditate in the water and all that. And I was like, yeah, let's go down. I'd answer whatever I thought he was saying, And I was like, this is about schizophrenic, if you ever, want to see one. And it became so clear that I realized, oh, it's not in all of the religious prophecies of in that last 1,000 years of the third dimension, animals will speak, I realized it's not that the animals will speak to humans, they're already trying to. It's that human consciousness will be evolved to a point that they will be able to understand the lower frequency of animal consciousness. So, this is going somewhere. And I was like, whoa. And then I saw the different levels of consciousness in the Hermetic principles, where they talk about material consciousness and all of that. Then you raise the frequency, it becomes plant. Raise the frequency, it becomes animal, different animals, every little frequency. Raise the frequency and it becomes human. Raise the frequency, it becomes that multiversal archangel. And then you understand, I am everything. And then you wake up to the realization that you've done this a billion times. And you look out at all of the other yous, and you're like, fuck. But let's rewind. Yeah, there we go. So instead of back to Kitsu and Brian, that's what I call him when I left the place, Brian, the white talking dog off Family Guy. I mean, I saw that too. The golden tongue is speaking to me from every direction. You are living with Brian, the talking dog. So I went to Michael. He was a galactic level entity. Christians would call him an angel, Elijah, if not the Messiah. Just one of those guys. Real nice guy. Loved to smoke weed, and good weed too. Man, that guy was cool. You kind of remind me of, kind of have that same, like, I know Michael. He works in the platoon with me. I'm just next on the list. Thanks for letting me interview you.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to this reality. I said, we all, I say that is funny because I see that I am all, but we all raise our frequency in meditation. We go from our base chakra, and then we're like, okay, and there's our childlike innocence, questioning reality, and then, okay, there's the analytical person that will criticize the questioning of reality, and then, what is reality? Go up to the heart chakra, and then the earth spits out, and the universe spits out, and then the throat chakra clears to clear that intent, so you can speak everything into existence. And then if you don't speak, you can force it into your purpley area, and then say, this is what it needs to be, and then it becomes pink and white, and it shoots out, and then reality happens, and the next day you wake up and you walk through it. That's how I meditate. I don't know about you guys, but I try to go up. So, how do I reach a lower level of consciousness? Will it affect me? I had some fear. Why am I looking at the camera? You guys can't even see me. And it's not even that time. You're probably rewatching this. How do I go lower? Will it affect me? And then is that fear? You motherfucking human. Are you fearful? You are the fucking universe. How can you be harmed by anything? You are everything, motherfucker. And I was like, okay. So I took the toroid that I am, and I went, I'm going to look at it like I'm eating an apple, and it's going through my intestines, and I'm shitting out an apple tree, an apple orchard to walk through. And go, instead of going, this is reality, I was going to force it down into this is reality. And when I started lowering my frequency, I got to a fight or flight, fear, sexual, weird thing. And then all of a sudden, it was like our version of the fifth dimension, that golden white. We're sharing all of our thoughts. You know, it's just one. We are one, but many. That whole thing. But it was on a animal level. And then I kind of went through that, and I was like, whoa, that's fucking badass. And then I went through, kept going through, went through a couple of animals I didn't really recognize, and then, there's the dog. Oh, there's the cat. And then went down to, and I was like, I get it. It gets smaller and smaller. I'm going too slow. So when I was coming back up, I was like, oh, I get it. I'll revisit this in another meditation, you know, later down the line. I'm going to go to sleep, smoke some weed, go to sleep. And but when I was coming up through the dog, I heard, "He'll do it. Who's this?" And I was like, "Whoa, that's pretty intelligent." I said, "Oh, the wolf." And it was like the wolf dog divine masculine. I don't know if I should tell you anymore, but they said, "You're not." It meant, it was in English, kind of, but the word meant beyond, I'm not racist. Like, he's not racist. It's beyond that. It's, I'm not opposed to interfrequency friendships and relationships. It's not a homosexual this close. It's a, if I want to have a relationship with a star and I really fall in love with this star and the star falls in love with me, we should be able to have some kind of intergalactic relationship. That's just like a back thought. But they knew me as I was coming up because we are one. We are all one. And they're like, "Well, this guy will do it." And then they introduced me to a concept where a person can be hurt so severely, they can suffer so much trauma. We'll say a child that has escaped a life of sex slavery, or they were kept in a cage until they were 20 years old. You know, their frequency of human experience is so low that they fall out of human consciousness into a "what the fuck am I?" And the next thing under human consciousness is animal consciousness. And when you come out of that dream of all animal consciousness, it's Jesus! I feel like I'm in heaven. We're all one. It's the same as our fifth dimension. It's the same. It's nothing special. It's just all the same. But when you fall through that, the thing that catches you right under that is that canine plane of existence, of consciousness. It's a plane of consciousness. And it exists because you guys have your fucking dogs in your lap right now petting them. That's proof that the canine plane of existence exists. You can feel them, you can talk to them, you know, when they're whatever. Well, they have a collective consciousness also. That's what I'm talking about. The fifth dimension for animals, in that collective consciousness of dogs, they are as intelligent as the average human.
Wow.
Yes. And when I felt that, I felt like my neighbor or something was like, "Hey, I'm mowing the yard. Hey, John, want to come over and have a beer?" Just like, wait a second, you're conscious. But, you know, I'll see you at the monster truck races. But we're in control. The higher ups of that consciousness have like an Illuminati thing. Wow. And as above, so below, brother. Why are you surprised? Every layer has that same deal, and we're all working together. All of us. It's awesome. It's awesome. But they think they're working on dog level. We think we're working on human level. The angels, they know what the fuck's going on multiverse level. Mm-hmm. But okay. I hope I'm giving you enough crazy. They shared with me. Okay, I don't know if any of you guys know that we fit together like a geometric structure, our Merkabas do. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's the superposition of the one floats out like that. And it's like, you can look at it like, well, through here is a pyramid. It's focusing up to one. And that's where we get the pyramids and whatever. It's also the all-seeing eye is your pineal gland and stuff like that. But they said, the dog, you know, I'm still talking about that. I know, I'm scatterbrained. They explained to me, it's mainly women. I saw some guys, I saw some pretty boys. I did. That were in like the divine feminine position of each trinity. Like, boom, here's a dog, a wolf, here's a woman, and here's the universe they've created. Here's a wolf, here's a pretty boy, you know, here's the universe they've created. I mean, it was everywhere. It was just like humanity. It was everywhere. Blah. And they said, you continue to ascend past, it was almost, okay, I'm trying to put this into human words, and I really haven't ever had to do this on this story. That's why I practice, I think, and tell my stories multiple times. They explained to me, it's almost, it felt like they were on a leash.
There we go.
That was it.
There we go.
It was the feeling, oh my God, it was their hatred for the leash and how it leads to the man. And the man has us on a fucking leash. And you understand this. I was working with Alex Jones, InfoWars, conspiracy bullshit, all of this, into the Illuminati. Yeah, motherfucker, I get it. I'm never wearing a tie in my life. And they're like, yeah, he does get it. This human will make us real strong. I mean, they were like, some of them were like retarded people, but they were the top of, I mean, they were still conscious, you know, very. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck's going on here? And then a dog came over to me. And this is Kitsu also. He brought me back to this place by telling me, like, he was like, hey, in my tent. And my tent was about this big. He just came in. I left it open for him. And then I was like, hey, man, wait, whoa. Hey, man, no. Hey, man. And then it was like, remember? And then it was, oh, yeah, dog consciousness. You know? But it was my, I don't want to say disrespect for authority, because you have to acknowledge authority to disrespect it. I don't disrespect authority because I don't believe in authority. I don't think it exists. There's no authority for me to disrespect or respect or bow down to. From my viewpoint, I'm at the center of my universe. So, sorry, brothers. Your authority, I hope that whatever badge, black dress you're wearing, I hope it works for you.
Some people with authority look like wizards.
There you go. I'm never going to dress like a wizard, I'll tell you that. And I've done a little bit more wizardry than most storybook wizards. But they said, we have combined, I understood the Trinity combination. However it happens, I'm not going to get into it. They are working in one universe. Now, the dog kingdom wants to ascend and take over the human role on the planet, like Planet of the Apes. Except it's actually dogs. And I remembered a vision. Yeah, I remember this is going to happen. Oh, the dogs are going to speak. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Well, promise you won't write anything about my story that you know outside of what I tell.
Yes.
Okay.
Thomas promise.
Okay. They shared with me a woman. And I felt the pain that she went through that pulled her so far down that she wrapped up with her dog and said, "You're all I need. We are one." And she knew enough about the universe to know what she was talking about. And and that's a little storybook version of what happened. But it took her getting that low on the streets, people, behind a fucking dumpster after you've been raped and beaten up, and you're like a high school cheerleader. You know, that person curled up with her dog and said, "This is it." Her husband had recently died, and she was on the streets alone now. And I figured that out later. Let's go back to the story with Kitsu. So this woman that I now know, which is not strange, that's just my dream that I'm living. But they showed me that, okay, I have to rewind and say, I have a rule. I don't date my friends' exes or my ex's friends. And I take that to a level of bros before hoes, to the point that even if my friend's girlfriend, even if a stranger's wife came on to me, I would say, thank you, whatever. And then I'd go over to the guy and I'd say, "Hey man, I love you and this is why I'm telling you this. This just happened." Bros before hoes. That's the kind of person I am. I wouldn't ever cheat on whoever I was with at the time. That's another kind of person I am. And here's the deal. I would never take a woman from another man. And my son's mother is a lesbian. And that was a long time ago. I've been doing this for a long time. So I've been a lonely, lonely man because every single girl was taken. And they showed me this one girl. This girl's taken by a dog. And I know that in a human relationship, in a male, female, yin-yang, here's the divine masculine, here's the divine feminine, a dog can replace the child. It's Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It's the Osiris, Isis, and Horus Trinity as man, woman, dog. And I was like, whoa, because I was saying there's no one in this universe that is available because of my rules. And I came up with those rules so no one could get me. It's like, oh yeah, but you got a boyfriend. Oh no, but he's moving out and I don't give a fuck. You know? Yeah. But then here's this girl. She's actually not single, but she's not with a man. And this is and here's the thing, she is one of like three, like you have the trinity of dogs at the top, the center of consciousness of dogs, okay? That is split into three. divine masculine, divine feminine, and the son or offspring. And then around those, they're around the divine feminine line of that trinity. It has a trinity: divine masculine, divine feminine, and the offspring. You know, we live in a fucking fractal. Deal with it, people. One of those three wasn't a dog, divine feminine. One was a human. And when I saw this, I was like, what the fuck? And then that's when they're like, this is what they have to go through. They fall so far down, and then we catch them. Because we love consciousness, we love life. We catch them, and then they have a choice. And so when that kind of person looks down and realizes, oh my God, you're treating me like a queen, it's because you're at the very tip top of consciousness. You don't even belong in this dimension of consciousness. You fell so low. But in that level of consciousness, you are at the very top. I am a queen. And the person, now you guys can say I'm schizophrenic after this, I don't know about it. But the person playing that person that you know is the person, the whole person that I know as the planet Venus. The sexiest time I have ever experienced in my life was my journey through that level of consciousness, going up. And when I came back down is when I said, hey, you need to visit me in my world. That's the only girl that I will accept is you in human physical form. That's it. And then she was like, I'm already there. I was like, no, fuck that. You're here talking to me now. You are superpositioning yourself there. I'm not talking about sprinkle yourself out and then collect it all. I'm saying collect your one self and embody your one self into a human form, and there, you want to fuck me? And it was that, but it was like a lovey fuck, you know? It was all just like, and I was like, you want to do this? You come down to my reality first. See how, almost like how terrible it is with skin on, you know? And then when I ascend, and this was all just coming back from death, but I said, when I ascend, I'll write it up and you catch me as Venus. And then we will ascend as one through Mercury and the sun and the solar system and the galaxy, in. I'm saying out, because it appears bigger as we're looking at it inside out. Well, in that dog realm, they said, you think she's beautiful? And I said, even physically, if she was a human, because she was a light body. You know how it is on that plane of existence. It's all light bodies. You can't see their skin. And I was like, oh man, she's like, what the fuck? And some of the dogs are like, oh yeah, and I was like, you need to remember, you're talking to a human at least. Come on now. And they're like, and then the higher ups were like, chill out, we're speaking with John. And they said, who is your higher consciousness? And I said, come on guys, you. And then I realized, oh wait, you don't see that far up. And I said, well, our higher consciousness, I call Michael on top of the human, like us bigger. And he's like, well, her higher consciousness is who you've called Venus. And then right then it was like, what? And I said, fuck yeah. And I said, whoa. And then I started like grabbing their consciousness. I was taking over their entire world. Like, you guys are so low frequency, you don't realize that my arms are all around you right now. You are in me, brothers. Be careful. But I wasn't, it was like a dog. You know, like, I can take care of this dog if I need to, and that's what I was doing. I was like, okay. There was a conflict in the dog world. That's the whole, these guys were the Illuminati kind of thing of the dog world. They were trying to steer consciousness up. And they said, if you unite with her, where is she on a human scale? And I said, she doesn't exist on a human scale, even though she's human. You know, she's like queen of the underworld or something. And then I had to be nice to him. Oh, but you know, we all live, we're all the same person. No, that's not gonna work. We're all in a big ascending something. Like, you know, you had to be nice to the dogs. But they were like kings and masters. And they said, what would happen to you if you united with her? And I said, well, I'd be in the middle of human experience, probably. That level of spiritual awareness, something. And I kept going with this. I didn't believe it. I was like going with them. Let's see where you want to take this. And because I know this is all in my mind, I'm going to be the same no matter what. There's nothing breaking me. So I wanted to see where they were going with this. What's their plan? This lower frequency consciousness. And then I got we want to wake up human consciousness, or not wake up human consciousness. We want to speak to the humans and tell them about this leash, the thing that they shared with me, their hatred towards the leash and everything. And they wanted to be recognized as sentient beings. And then I got it, and I said, my frequency, because I know who I am, I mate or become one with her. Her divine masculine now becomes the child. I slip into the divine masculine role. I pull her out of that animal consciousness back into human consciousness, and with her, you come, boy. And he was like, I know, just hear this out. And I said, you guys need to be open with me. You're trying to like tag onto my coattails when I'm going up. And I said, this is the real deal, you know, whatever. And then I heard some going, I told you no human would do this. And I said, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I said, this is intriguing. It really is. And then him, Cruiser, was like the cousin to the prince of the dog kingdom. Almost like if the Scottish were still in power, he'd be Irish, his Irish cousin. And he came up and, well, not came up, you know, we're in like crazy dreamland. He came up and said, yeah, I told you, Venus is the animating force inside of her. And, okay, I'll get deeper. Five years ago, before I left on my journey, I was in Oklahoma, and my son told me about my journey here in detail, a lot of it. And he said, oh man, I can't say it because it gives so much away. He said, would you ever be with this kind of woman? And I said, wait a second, you're 7 years old. What are you talking about? And he said, would you? And I said, how would it benefit the situation? He said, you will, Dad. And told me about her. He said, my uncle said the young girls in Hawaii are beautiful. And he said, the problem is, I'm talking about the young girls. And they are. And I'm not attracted to any Hawaiians in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. It's like high school, college age, and then whatever. And he said, you'll have a girlfriend. And I said, no, I'm not going to date a kid. And he said, no, she'll be your age. And I said, no, I don't date girls my age. I don't like old women. And he laughed and said, she has really wrinkly skin. And I said, and he was like looking off into space, came right back. She has really wrinkly skin. I said, what are you doing to me? And then my uncle chimed in, the Trinity again. My uncle chimed in. This is before I really just settled down to a comfortable understanding that this is just a dream and we do fall into these Trinity structure things. But he chimed in and said, she's chiseled and perfect like a Greek statue. And I said, so she's so she's a ballerina. So she does fall under the category of acceptable for Dad. Come on now, because his mother she was a J-pop dancer into some dark Yakuza stuff, for real in Tokyo. Like, I got her out of Roppongi. We paid off Yakuza money that she owed, moved from Tokyo to Oklahoma. To get away from the And he told me so much about her. He said, you'll do a photo shoot with her, something about I don't know, I don't want to say it if I don't remember it exactly. And then he got into the dog thing. And this is before the whole Kitsu thing. That's the weird thing about it. It's like 3 years before, my son's talking about me getting together with the queen of the dog consciousness universe, where we will have an army of dogs that do what we say because we're king and queen of whatever. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So, a couple of years later, I have that weird thing with Kitsu, with the whole dog thing. And here she is, right here, with the dog thing. Today, I just spoke to the dog hey, I don't understand you in this condition that I'm in. Say hi to Kitsu, and he'll tell you what's up. Because Kitsu was what would the equivalent be in human? MI5 agent, knight, secret agent, something like that. Rebel leader, there you go, he was a rebel leader. And so, I know that if I go straight down and don't hold on to my ego and just ride the frequency down into dogland, then I have a dog equivalent in dogland as the John in human land, and Michael and that and that and that, what's happening here is Cruiser will take the spot of the lower me. They're just gonna, like when the 3 comes around, they're gonna be like, are you ready? Yep. And then Aikido themselves, boom, into another position. Right then, he is me. Direct line, consciousness, everything. Then, he is united with her, who is united with me. Who, we're all united, but we're talking about on an ego level. Like human ego level. And dog consciousness level. Ego level. When my frequency here will be pulled down by hers temporarily, and I'm gonna pull her up as she pulls him up, as Venus pulls me up, John, in her, her higher consciousness in her is pulling John up. Then my higher consciousness, God, like awesome guy, is going to pull us up. And we're going to see what happens. That's it. Boom!